Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation, and as you exhale, just get a sense that anything no longer necessary now is leaving your body. Breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation. If it's safe to do so, on the next outward breath, allow your eyelids to close, and as they close, notice that perhaps stress, tension, worries are all leaving your body in that outward breath, enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed now. Breathing in and breathing out, and I wonder how quickly you can go into that lovely state called hypnosis. I don't know if it will take seconds or minutes. I just know that when you find that place, and your mind already knows how to get there, that you will feel relaxed, not because it's necessary, just because it's enjoyable. To feel so relaxed with your eyes closed, listening to my voice. And as your body relaxes, your imagination becomes more playful, more imaginative, more creative. I wonder what it would be like to have a magical power of teleportation. And sometimes people think that if they could teleport anywhere, they would go to the iconic landmarks of the world, the pyramids, the Colosseum in Rome, perhaps Big Ben in London, or some Caribbean islands. But I wonder what would happen if you used your power of imagination and teleportation to visit a city in Vietnam. I want you to imagine going to a city called Da Nang. A large city in Asia, by the sea. I want you to imagine being in that place, feeling the humidity, perhaps the heat of the sun, the sound of the city. And I wonder how you would feel walking around that city. Just imagining all the different places. Perhaps you can imagine walking across the Golden Bridge. Imagine a bridge that seems like it's held up by concrete hands. Views, hills and countryside on one side, and perhaps the city on the other. And then imagine that you're taking a trip to the Marble Mountains. You don't need a taxi, a bus, a train. Just use that ability to teleport and just think of mountains with thick trees, being able to see the entire city and in fact the coastline from these mountains. I want you to imagine you are at the peak of the mountain, the pinnacle, the summit. The mountains aren't so large that they are snow-capped, but there is a breeze. And imagine just standing there, looking out over the city, breathing in that air that feels cleaner and clearer than it was in the city, but you can still see the city. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to deliberately relax the muscles on your forehead and around your eyebrows. eyebrows are one of the most expressive parts of the human face and therefore are connected to so many different muscles. But those muscles and tendons can accumulate tension. And here on the top of this mountain, I wonder what it would be like for you to relax the muscles around first your left eyebrow. Breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, and then exhale any feelings of tension. And then focus on the right eyebrow. Again, breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, and then exhaling that tension, and just noticing how much better you feel just by relaxing the muscles around your eyebrows. Here on the top of this mountain, I want you to imagine that there is an aquarium, a large aquarium. And I want you to imagine that this aquarium with all kinds of tropical fish and tropical creatures, an ecosystem. This is the world of the fish that live in this aquarium. Just as you have your world. And the fish in the aquarium go to the same places, see the same other fish all the time, and just swim around in whatever space and water they have. And I want you to imagine that your world is a large aquarium. How many of the same people do you see day after day? How many of the same places, the same foods do you eat day after day? And a fish in an aquarium perhaps will live out its entire life never leaving that aquarium. And I wonder what would happen if you decided to leave your aquarium, to go to places you didn't normally go, to deliberately interact with people you wouldn't normally interact with. What if the world that you live in has the perception of being closed and limited, but is the equivalent of these fish trapped in an aquarium suddenly being moved into an ocean? They might lose some of the safety and security of being fed regularly, having the temperature always at the same temperature. Maybe there's less threats in that aquarium, but there's also less freedom. I want you to get a sense that there is always a choice. Do you stay in your aquarium, or do you explore the ocean? And what would you want to find in your ocean? I want you to imagine that a feeling of despair, of limited choice, of certainty in the future means at some level you're perceiving your world as limited and predictable as an aquarium. And I wonder what emotion would be needed to leave the aquarium and to go into the ocean. Wouldn't it need to be optimism? I want you to scan your body now for optimism. You would have to have faith that this bigger world, a more adventurous world, but a more scary world, you would have to imagine that you have the resources to cope in this bigger, scarier world. Meet people you don't normally meet, do things you don't normally do. And I want you to get a sense that both despair and optimism are self-fulfilling prophecies. Despair is having no hope for the future at all. And when you have no hope, even when there are opportunities and abilities to make amazing choices and experience new things. You just don't see them, they're invisible. When you have this spirit of optimism, the same principle applies. You're looking at the world as full of magic and wonder. Every person is a potential friend. Every new decision is a new adventure. And with that spirit of optimism, the ocean isn't a scary place. It's a magical place, full of choices. And I wonder, if you had to choose, would you choose the aquarium of despair or the ocean of optimism? And then imagine leaping in to whichever one feels more desirable to you. And then imagine somewhere in that water discovering a peanut. I want you to get a sense that this peanut is still edible even though it's been in the water. But imagine this is a magical peanut that can amplify feelings of optimism. Perhaps you can imagine the peanut in a shell. Imagine leaving the water, going to the surface, and then breaking the shell, eating the peanut, and then figuring out where optimism feels like it is for you. And then as you imagine chewing and biting on the peanut, that you amplify feelings of optimism. That when you think about the future, it becomes brighter, more visceral, more three-dimensional, more colourful. That when you think about your future, not in an ocean, not within the metaphor, but within your reality, what does living life like with more optimism feel like for you? What would that be like? And perhaps there's another peanut in the same shell, and eat that one too, and then amplify that optimism even more. Your world is now an ocean of optimism. So many wonderful opportunities, and I'm just wondering, what's next for you? What will be the next amazing adventure? What will be the next powerful, empowering decision that you make? What will be the next goal that takes you towards your compelling vision for your future? What will be the next wisdom you can extract from a moment of pain or perceived failure? Think about your future and just wonder what's next for you. Now it's time to find yourself back on that bridge. Just teleport yourself there. The golden bridge, looking out over the city of Da Nang from a golden bridge held up by two concrete hands. No longer on the mountain, there on the bridge, looking out, but feeling that optimism amplified inside you. And then teleport yourself back to the present, in exactly where you were before, as you listen to my voice. And very soon, I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling resourceful, optimistic, still noticing that all that tension around the eyebrows has completely gone, but feeling a desire, not to be confined in the aquarium, but to explore the ocean. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Get a sense that you're fully in your own body, completely healthy, happy, full of optimism, as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. And when you awaken, you'll be asking yourself, what's next? In the most optimistic tone of voice inside your own mind possible. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.